Alright guys, so I realized I forgot to use some of the PhET simulations as demos during the lecture. So let's do a video with just those. So we'll look at a few different simulations that are related to electricity, and I'll show you how to get to it. So if you go to Google, you just type in PhET, P-H-E-T. It should be the first thing that comes up, phet.colorado.edu. Click on that link, and if you look at the simulations tab, you should see a choice for physics, so go to that. And then there you go, you get all kinds of physics simulations, physics related simulations. You can choose by subject on the side here, so we'll look at electricity, magnets, and circuits. So we're going to look at a couple of these in this video. We'll look at a couple more, or a few today in this video, a couple more for chapter 23. And yeah, we'll also look at some of these for 24 and 25, and maybe some of the future, use the light and radiation or quantum phenomena for some of the future chapters. I highly recommend you spend some time with some of these, especially if you're bored. They're kind of fun. Some of them are funny. And they are insightful. So let's look at one. We'll start with this balloon one. So this one demos 1, charging by friction, and 2, attraction and polarization. Right. So we talked about how you can charge a balloon by rubbing it on, say, your hair or on a sweater. Right. So if you take this balloon, you rub it on the sweater, it gets charged. So notice it's filled with negative charges that have pulled off the sweater. That leaves the sweatshirt positively charged, or holding a net positive charge. If I take the balloon and hold it away from the sweater and let go, it gets pulled in. That's because, again, the balloon's overall negative, sweater's overall positive, and so they'll attract. The wall, however, is neutral, so the balloon doesn't really attract the wall, or get attracted to the wall, unless I move it close to the wall, right? So what's going on here? Well, the balloon, holding all that extra negative charge, is repelling the negative charges in the wall. It's not moving the positive charges on the wall or in the sweater, because, as you hopefully remember, the positive charges are held in the nucleus of the atom, which is much larger than the electrons, right? So the charges shown here are not to scale relative to one another. Obviously, not relative to the balloon. But yeah, so you put it near the wall, you let go, and it now sticks, right? And that's because it polarizes the wall. It pushes the negative charges away from, as far away from the balloon as possible. And so now we have positive charge or negatives in the balloon being attracted to the positives of the wall. Yeah. All right. Now let's look at John Travoltage. John Travoltage. It's here. That's the name. John Travoltage. It's kind of absurd, but yeah. So we got here John Travolta, and you can charge him up. So we can move his leg and we can move his arm. So let's bring his arm close to this doorknob. Actually, let's move it away from the doorknob real quick. So if you take his leg, you can rub it against the carpet. So what's going on here? Well, we're charging him up through friction again, just kind of like that balloon, right? So you rub your shoes or your socks across the carpet, and you'll pick up negative charges. And then, you get all charged up. What happens? You get near a doorknob and you get shocked. So right there, I kept the hand pretty far away, and we were still able to get a spark. That's because of the huge buildup of electrons. Obviously, this is a bit exaggerated. But if I go close to the doorknob, I don't need to charge up as much to get a current, or to get a shock, right? This is kind of nice. Oh, look at that. Can't shock himself. And so again, it's charging by friction and then discharging through this doorknob. And the key here is that the human body is conductive, which is why these electrons are able to freely move through the body and then into this conductive doorknob. All right, so now let's look at a couple more that are related to electric fields. So right here we have some charges, right? If I remove all the charges, we see that there's nothing going on. There's no electric fields in empty space. But if I put an electric charge in this space, now we have an electric field. And notice that all the electric fields, or the electric field points away from the positive charge, right? And so you can imagine if I were to take a positive charge and put it right here, that positive charge is going to repel, right? We know like charges repel. So it's going to move away. It's going to follow these electric field lines. If I put a negative charge right here, then that will be attracted to the positive. It goes against the electric field lines, right? I can switch our source charge. There we go, and now we have a negative charge. So the electric field lines are pointing inward. So a positive charge nearby will attract, again follow the lines. A negative charge nearby will repel, going against the lines. Notice that the arrows, or vectors as they are decreasing in strength the farther away you move. So you can see that they're less bright. That's a measure of strength. We can actually use the sensor to get a better idea of electric field strength. So notice that when we're really close to the source charge, the vector is huge, meaning the electric field line right there is very powerful. But as you move away, the electric field weakens, right? It gets weaker and weaker and weaker. If, again, I put a positive charge instead and bring in a sensor, we see a very powerful field nearby and a weakening as we move away. A couple other things. We can show the voltage strength here as well. So here the voltage is represented by the red glow. So notice that the voltage or electric potential, they're synonymous, are very high near the charge and weak far away. And what this is saying is that if you put a charge near close to the source charge, then it'll feel a strong electric potential. And we defined electric potential in this chapter as energy per charge. So given some amount of charge, they'd get a lot more energy being near the source than they would if they were farther away over here. We also have a voltmeter here, so you can get voltages at different points if you want. Yeah, I highly recommend you take a look at this. One other thing before we move on is we could put more than one charge in a region, and we can see how those electric fields interact. So look at this. What we're seeing is that the electric field lines move away from the positive, right, and they move into the negative. So we're distorting the electric field in the space, and essentially seeing how they superimpose on one another. Keep this general shape in mind. You'll see this looks very similar to the magnetic field lines of a magnet when we get to that. But of course you can add more and see how different charges will really distort the shape. Now what would be really interesting would be to see how a charge actually interacts with these, a free charge, right? These are all held in place, so they're not moving. Luckily, there's another simulation for this. So this is the electric field hockey simulation. This one downloads instead of being played in your browser. So I have that loaded up right here. So let's reset it. I'm going to clear it. Okay, so what we have here is this positive charge. This is our puck, essentially, right? And the idea is this one's supposed to be a game, is we want to get this charge into the goal. So there's one very easy way to do this. It's in line, so all we got to do is repel it in that direction. So you can see here you have a pool of positive and negative charges that you can use to do this. And if we want the charge to move in this direction, well, we can put a positive here, and we can see that arrow represents the force. the direction of the force that's applied. And so if I place it there and I press start, so it goes, right now everything's frozen. Go! We made it. Now, that's pretty easy. Can we make this a little bit more complicated? Actually, let's try one more easy one. Now, if I put a negative charge here, of course it's going to attract. So we won't make it. Oh, and notice it actually oscillates. That's pretty interesting. Let's reset that. Now, if I take that negative and I place it on this side, we should be able to attract, but then we get this. So why is that happening? Well, because the positive charge is being propelled towards the charge, but once it reaches the charge and now it moves away, it's going to be attracted back, and so we get this oscillation. Okay, let's try this again. So what I'd highly recommend for you guys, one, because it'll help you get a good idea of electric fields and how charges interact. Two, because you're stuck at home and hey, this is just something to play with, is to try to get try to find different ways to get this puck, right, this positively charged puck, into the goal. What I did previously was I took a single charge. Let's do maybe positive. No, let's try this negative. And I put it in the way of the goal. And now I have to try to get around it to get the puck in, right? Notice that if I let go, I can actually just win like that. So that kind of works. It gets in the goal before being pulled backwards. But let's see what else we can do. Right, so let's shoot this in the opposite direction. If I do that, it just goes off. So what we need to do is push it back in, maybe with this charge. Let's see what happens. No, so now it's just deflected away at another angle. So we want to push it away from that. Let's try to counteract that by moving it up some more. Okay, now why don't we put the positive charge there? Great. Why don't we try a negative charge? We want to pull it back in. So let's put a negative here and see if we can pull that charge back in. I actually think this is kind of fun. Is that just me? Oh, look at that. Pretty close. What if I drop this a little? Collision? I did it. Woo! So why don't you guys give it a try? And if anybody can make a cool path or anything kind of interesting, why don't you send it over? Maybe I'll post it on D2L or something. Notice you can change the difficulty level. Oh, there we go. Oh, whoa. Alright, let's try this real quick. I got a minute and a half. Feel free to log off if you don't want to watch me play with this. Okay, so you can also represent the field lines. That's a good idea. So let's see if we can do this. Let's clear the board. Let's get these field... Oh yeah, there's no field charges yet. Let's reset. Alright, let's see what we can do. Let me deflect this upward. Then I want to pull it this way so it doesn't fly out. Then I want to pull it that way. And let's see if I can deflect it in. Let's see what happens here. Oh, that's not going to work. So notice you can actually look at these field lines. So look at where, this is the great thing about electric fields. So if you look at where the puck is, you can actually follow the lines and see where it's going to go. So it's pretty obvious this is not going to make it to the goal. Now what's crazy is if you move it slightly, you can really change your path. So if I can move that puck to here, my path would likely change. So let's see what we need to do to fix this. So there we go. Our electric field lines are pointing more in the direction we want. Let's move this up a bit. Or no, let's get a positive charge here. Put that away. And let's see what happens. Yeah, that didn't work. Let's increase the positive charge. This is about to shut off, but hey. You'll get the idea. So try it out.